Back to the Future, Pollock versus Toulmin, or Arguing About Arguing. This is part 2 of 4 parts are from a presentation given at the Australian System Safety Conference 2018, ASSC 2018, Melbourne, Victoria, Australia. Essentially, this work looks at the ideas behind case notation literature, which has deliberately averted gaze from goal-oriented requirements engineering and its notations. The approach discussed in this presentation is not part of Raytheon Australia proprietary limited policy, process, procedure or practice. Themes from safety case literature, or what I believe I know about argument. I think various safety case practitioners, cum philosophers, have postulated about the application of epistemology in that art. Defined narrowly, epistemology is the study of knowledge and justified belief. The real epistemic questions are the following: 1. What are the necessary and sufficient conditions of knowledge? 2. What makes justified beliefs justified? 3. Is justification internal or external? So, where does epistemology sit within safety cases? Rushby, post-introduction of D 0178C, sees safety cases split into 1. Logic, and thereby calculi and, say, argument register trademark symbol, and 2. Epistemology, say, for the sake of argument, argument trademark symbol. Rushby argues defeasible reasoning should be done outside of case. Rushby likens defeasible reasoning to hazard analysis. Hazard analysis is, in any event, a non-monotonic or indeed a dialogical process. Rushby is arguing that we should use non-monotonic reasoning integral to the development of architectural requirements and design decisions, just not in the case. Non-monotonic reasoning is likely then the semantic for embedded preliminary and architectural justifications. What if rationale for requirements and architectural decisions used a semi-formal calculus? Hoare was musing over the relative success, at the time, of Boeing 777 aircraft, when he asked, how did software get so reliable without proof? That is, we can get very close to nirvana without logic. But if not logic, what? Rationale. Is rationale epistemic when it is the methodological explanation, albeit undocumented, of what we believe? What if we documented rationale with a semi-formal calculus? Of note, when Toulmin, 2003, p. 185, discusses the calculus of knockout competitions, he says, what sign will indicate that the calculus of draws is being treated as mathematics, and its propositions as mathematical propositions? The answer is, roughly speaking, that the criteria by which it is decided to accept or reject propositions must no longer involve procedural or other extraneous considerations, but must lie entirely within the calculus. That is, Toulmin is saying that there is no need for epistemic reasoning over top of logic. There may still be room for epistemic reasoning over other topics. There may still be room for epistemic reasoning over the selection of one or the other calculus. What if a calculus was applied to rationale capture? Would you believe that an agency may think, believe or know A, thus entailing A? For safety, of the 3 options, 1, thinking A can be rejected because, as Toulmin contends, an unbacked intuition is not an argument. That is, it cannot stand on its own as a justified belief. 2. Knowing A can be rejected because the pessimism of safety is that there is a 50-50 chance the system will fail in its next hour of operation. We cannot know unless we turn the key. The models we use are also not the system. 3. Believing A is left to us. The notion of epistemic standards introduces the notion of skepticism and its role in epistemic reasoning. Beliefs may not count as knowledge in some contexts because the epistemic standards are unusually high. Epistemic low standards are likely spaces where agreement prevails and there is unlikely to be contest or any contest is waning. This might relate to the Toulmin breakpoint, as skepticism will plague a calculus until it is fully established. The calculus is thereafter a shorthand. Whether something is a justifiable belief, or not, relates to the work that went into getting there. Everyone might apply a method to get to a belief, but not everyone applies a methodology or acts methodologically. Methodologies are thus an important tool. The other problem is, of course, agreement on the methodologies. Occasionally, papers pop up that demand safety judgments by safety practitioners suffice even where approaches are somewhat less than methodological. When discussing probative value of expert witness testimony in court, however, Edmund contends that opinions produced using scientific, medical and technical procedures cannot be rationally assessed unless the procedures have been subjected to formal evaluation. Ergo, procedural practices must entail methodological approaches. Probative value entails validation of same. Leveson has said that formal methods are not safety. Did Leveson mean that safety is a non-demonstrable quality? Non-demonstrable qualities likely require higher epistemic standards that includes validated methodologies. Inductive reasoning. Ranging over weak through strong claims, to claim a degree of support for a conclusion. Probabilistic reasoning is structured, so think of fault tree analysis or Bayesian belief networks for example. Statistical reasoning comes from trying to make sense of statistics. Abductive reasoning is taking your best shot. Working with incomplete information. Abductive reasoning might actually be akin to the initial steps in clearing away the cloud, that is that wicked design problem. Conversely, one morning you enter the kitchen to find a plate and cup on the table, with breadcrumbs and a pat of butter on it, and surrounded by a jar of jam, a pack of sugar, and an empty carton of milk. You conclude that conformity of your processes to D0178C has been attained. This is not the best explanation. Non-monotonic reasoning is a class of logics created to capture defeasible inferences. Defeasible means the relationship of support between premises and conclusion is tentative. Potentially defeated by additional information. Of note, inductive and abductive reasoning are both non-monotonic. Makes sense? Weakly or strongly, for or against. One can otherwise apply alternating supporting and weakening premises to demonstrate the progression of the dialogue. Ad nauseam, or preferably until some stopping condition is reached. Probably when weakening premises are becoming abductive. This is otherwise the idea of dialogical reasoning. Monotonic reasoning means that in the face of more weakening premises the claim holds. Is this really a stasis point for a non-monotonic dialogue? Confidence in a safety claim might be that stasis point justified both, 1, by presenting all the significant supporting versus weakening premises. 2, by using non-monotonic reasoning over the design dialogue to claim the achievement of a state of monotonic stasis. Unfortunately, argument notations without semantics to support non-monotonic reasoning appear to declare monotonic stasis is attained by ignoring skepticism. But it is because they simply do not include semantics for attacking or weakening. That is, there is no means to interpret with any confidence a belief in the attainment of monotonic stasis. Hence, the inclination to build a second confidence argument next to the assurance argument. Backing undercutting argument framework, BUAF. BUAF melds principles from Pollock and Toulmin. The basic notion is that there are three forms of attack: rebuttal, undermining and undercutting. However, the notation is only to explain the intent of the calculus, which is the algorithmic process applied by two computational agents in a dialogue. Arose by any other lexicon. Backing and undercutting using the contribution edge of goal-oriented requirements engineering notations, on the right, is an analog of the attacking syntax and semantic of BUAF. The goal notation from ITUTZ 151 User Requirements Notation, or URN, is known as Goal-Oriented Requirement Language, or GRL. GRL includes satisficing semantics that has, as its root theoretics, the notion of dialogical or non-monotonic reasoning. In the world of reasoning notations, there ain't no such thing as a silver bullet. There is, however, tension in the case notation literature around dialogical reasoning, which is interesting because case notations are monological and more often monovalent. More on that in later parts of this presentation. Thank you for your consideration of this presentation. Enquiries are welcome via ResearchGate.